Hey guys, Harry Thomas here, and welcome to my updated Spider-Man ranking, including No Way Home. Oh, that was so bad. That was, yeah, my apologies. Hey guys, Harry Thomas here, and yeah, I'm updating my Spider-Man ranking today, not only because this May particularly marks the 20th anniversary of Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man all the way back in 2002. I mean, without that movie, Spider-Man may never have seen the big screen ever. And because there have been, well, a few more Spider-Man movies to come out since the ranking I did back in 2017. So 5 years on, my ranking is due for a update, and my thoughts on some of the Spider-Man movies have kind of changed slightly. Without further ado, if you want to know where I rank the movies that star our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, then just keep watching. At number 9, to nobody's surprise, The Amazing Shit 2. The only thing amazing about this is how amazingly dog shit it is. Where do I fucking begin? I mean, Mark Webb, when he made this sequel, he unleashed he unleashed a fucking plague on Spider-Man, like one of the 10 plagues of Egypt. In Prince of Egypt, this is the shissiest of shissy superhero movies. Still the worst one I've ever seen. Yes, worse than Fantastic, worse than Morbius, worse than Captain America 1990. I mean, there is a far too much going on here. No focus, and the villains have the shissiest motivations. And don't fucking believe me how abominable the CGI looks. Well, take a fucking look at the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy and fucking tell me it doesn't look better in every single way. The new Spidey suit looks even more pathetic than the one from the first not so amazing Spider-Man, it doesn't even have a proper ending. It just cuts off when Peter and the Rhino are about to duke it out, and Sony cancelled Amazing Shit 3. But the biggest anal rape was cruelly killing off poor Gwen at the end. I mean, that is not jumping the shark. That's worse. That's jumping the shark, slicing off its fins while it's still alive, and then baking it into fucking shark fin soup. Amazing Spider-Man 2 style. You know what? The Amazing Shit 2 is it's like the foulest tasting meal you go to a restaurant that's on the fast track to closing down for good, and a meal you send back the very millisecond it enters your mouth. I still despise The Amazing Shit 2 with every fibre in my fucking being. It is still one of the worst movies in existence, and it isn't even a movie. At number 8, not quite as a fucking shit as its sequel, but still one of the worst, if not the worst, reboots of all time, the not so amazing Spider-Man. An unhappy 10th anniversary to this pointless, dumb rehashing a reboot. So that is literally feels like a bad remake of the 2002 Sam Raimi movie. I mean, and Andrew Garfield, I am not never going to change my mind, is the worst Spider-Man. He is the Pierce Brosnan Bond of Spider-Man. He is that bad. And don't believe me that he's the worst? Well, at least Tobey Maguire's era made it to 3 movies. At least Tom Holland got 3 movies. Andrew Garfield only got 2. This movie got the character and the point of Spider-Man completely backwards. This Spider-Man does not give a single shit after Uncle Ben's death. You know, that's supposed to be his motivation for, becoming Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. The first half had me snoring like crazy. It's just a retread of the origin story we've seen all over again. And what the fuck did they do to the Lizard? A villain I was actually hyped to see on screen. And the only good character, like I said before, is Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy, but she ain't enough to redeem what still remains. The reboot that came way too soon after the Tobey Maguire era ended. And number 8, now I know you're all going to laugh like Mr. Jameson did in Spider-Man 2 for making this decision. You're serious? But Spider-Man No Way Home. I never said I hated this movie. I still don't hate it. It's just for me, the weakest of the Tom Holland trilogy. I mean, the lovers of No Way Home act like it's illegal to not call this movie perfect. Kind of like how people reacted when I just had a little nitpicks with Endgame. I don't think that's right or fair, personally. We're all entitled to our own opinion, just like I'm entitled to not calling No Way Home, the god of Spider-Man that everybody else is. The first half of No Way Home I was into it, but it all fell apart in the second half when you know what happens. Oh, Aunt May, why? It should have been Happy instead. No one gives a fuck about him, and we don't even need Happy in the story, but we do need Aunt May. So try and change my mind about what they did to Aunt May all you want, but I ain't changing it. In fact, I'm still going ahead to make the video if I wrote and directed No Way Home, just to let you all know how I would have done the second half of that movie. At number 6, Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, I know at the time I called this the most overrated Spider-Man movie, but I would I'd still watch this over No Way Home, as at least I can have fun with it. Tom Holland is a major step up as Spider-Man after Andrew Garfield. At least I never want to shoot Tom Holland in the face with a web, unlike Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. No, Tom Holland's legit likable. I think no Homecoming skipping the origin story and focusing more on Peter's high school life and telling a more original origin story for Spider-Man was the right move, so it's not copying the Tobey Maguire era. Ned, MJ, and Liz are all awesome, and this version of Aunt May is such a sweetheart, so even if they do unnecessarily sexualize her by having all the guys hitting on her, but this is in no way, shape, or form a perfect movie, nor is it the best superhero movie of 2017. I mean, Tony Stark just felt like an unnecessary tie-in to the MCU. Come on, John Watts. This is supposed to be a Spider-Man movie, not a Avengers movie, and the Happy's scenes were pure cringe, and the Vulture's design is overly robotic, and Liz being the Vulture's daughter, well, that was just a shoehorned in twist. And Peter and Liz's romance was actually cute, but it's unresolved. She just leaves him after he keeps running away, and he doesn't even ever tell her he's Spider-Man. Thanks for wasting our time thinking their relationship would actually lead to something. At number 5, my personal favourite of the Tom Holland trilogy, Far From Home. I owe Far From Home the biggest apology for being so hard on it 3 years ago. I was just upset at the time that Jon Favreau was remaking The Lion King, and I wasn't a fan of that he was starring in this movie. Once I got over that, I saw that Far From Home is even more entertaining than Homecoming, and we actually get a Spider-Man movie that's not in New York for once. We get Spidey going to Europe and London. Peter becomes more of a man this time after losing his mentor Tony in Endgame, and and his romance with MJ really starts to come to fruition, and Mysterio makes for one marvelous villain. Kudos to Jake Gyllenhaal. Ned and Bessie's relationship is totally adorable. I was rooting for those two to tie the knot. Shame it led to nothing in No Way Home, but oh well. Okay, we've reached the point in the ranking where we get to the Spider-Man movies that are just on fire, and at number 4, Spider-Man 2. I am just as lost for words as you are. The fact that I now think Spider-Man 2 is the weakest of the Tobey Maguire trilogy. I just wish there were more Spider-Man scenes. The raindrops keep falling is a hilarious montage, sure, but you kind of wish we were having some Spidey action going on at the same time. But do not get me wrong, Spider-Man 2 is still such a masterpiece of superhero filmmaking, as Peter has never felt more pressure with the responsibility of being Spider-Man and being Peter Parker at the same time. And the scene where he rescues the little girl from the burning building, one of the most heroic and inspiring scenes in any Spider-Man. J.K. Simmons as Mr. Jameson probably gets his best scenes in the Tobey Maguire trilogy here, particularly when he gets a Spider-Man suit and is kind of regressing, promoting Spider-Man as a menace to the public in the Daily Bugle, and Doc Ock is one incredible villain, and the train fights is such a crowd-pleasing action scene that I swear that scene alone got this movie the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects at the time, and it's also the first of the Spider-Man movies to not end with a funeral scene. At number 3, not exactly my favourite Spider-Man movie any longer, but still the most underrated by far, Spider-Man 3. I mean, what a extraordinarily satisfying conclusion to one of the greatest superhero trilogies. To those who call this worse than the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I say, hang on a second. Did you forget the beautiful Birth of Sandman scene? Did you forget the heartwarming Aunt May scenes and the message about revenge being like a poison and wrong? Sam Raimi was giving it his all directing this movie, and unlike the amazing shit duology, the magic of Spider-Man is still here, and it actually utilizes the three villains flawlessly. We all see where the three villains are coming from. Sandman just wants his daughter to be okay, and Venom wants to get Peter back for getting him fired and for stealing Gwen, his girlfriend, and though now we have Tom Hardy in the Venom movies, I still defend Topher Grace as Venom. And Harry and Peter's friendship slash rivalry is resolved in the most emotionally powerful way. Harry finally realizes it wasn't Pete that killed his father, and he comes back to save Peter at the end, and giving his life in the process. At number 2, a movie that has just shot up now on my ranking, Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, Sony, you outdid yourselves. This was the greatest comeback you could have possibly made after the Emoji movie the year before, and this Into Spider-Verse is just a celebration of Spider-Man with multiple Spider-Mans in one universe. I mean, who could ask for more? And I have so much affection for Miles Morales and Spider-Pig and Spider-Gwen. I mean, sorry, Mary Jane, sorry, Gwen Stacy, but Spider-Gwen is my total Spider-Man crush, and the animation just looking ahead of its time, even by 2018 standards, and the shots of the characters just leaping off of buildings, falling in slow motion, swinging through the city. You just feel like you are there and you are a Spider-Man with them. It's also the shining example of an animated Spider-Man movie in that it gets amazingly powerful and riveting, with Miles' relationship with his mum and his uncle, losing his father, and really coming of age and taking on the responsibility of being a Spider-Man. And my thoughts on the Kingpin as the villain have gone up. His storyline is just as compelling as Miles. So this movie would be number one, if not for one that will always be dear to my heart. And my number one favorite Spider-Man movie is now Sam Raimi's 2002 Spider-Man. Yes, the Spider-Man that kickstarted it all. I have now cemented this movie as my favorite Spider-Man movie. This is everything that I want a Spider-Man movie to be, and beyond that. So, I mean, Tobey Maguire is the greatest Spider-Man. I do not care what the naysayers say. Yes, the elephant in the room is that he cries a lot, but that's ain't a problem. I mean, it's a powerhouse performance from Maguire. He got the most laughs and the most intense scenes that Spider-Man should have. He flawlessly balances the two elements, and his Spidey suit is the freaking best of the bunch. I also praise the decision for having Spider-Man actually shoot webs naturally and not build them like all the others. And Kirsten Dunst is still my go-to Mary Jane, and James Franco is still the go-to Harry Osborn for me. And this is the only version of Spider-Man where Uncle Ben legit matters, and they do the origin story so well that no other Spidey movie could ever replicate it. You can see Sam Raimi just knows and adores the Spider-Man source material with all his heart, and we'll see if Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, his MCU movie he directed this month, can live up to this. William Dafoe's Green Goblin still stands as the all-time greatest Spider-Man villain. Itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout, down came the goblin and took the spider out. That's a final fight with Goblin and Spidey in the abandoned building. It's so raw and with so much brutality, it gives me chills every single time. And and 20 years later, Danny Elfman's Spider-Man theme is still the definitive Spider-Man score. So yeah, I am proud to call Spider-Man 2002 my favourite Spider-Man movie, and happy 20th anniversary, by the way. So that was my updated Spider-Man ranking, and I cannot wait to hear your ranking in the comments section below. Well, I love you guys, thank you for watching, hope you guys enjoyed this ranking video, and what's your Spider-Man ranking? Is your ranking similar or extremely different from mine? I'm sure it will be the latter. Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. And what will my next ranking video be? Well, another superhero ranking is in order, my updated DCU ranking. And remember, movies are us. Bye guys.